Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki and Health Minister Adam Niedzielski have announced that the government will be relaxing the coronavirus restrictions for the summer. Beginning on June the 13th, the country will begin its march back towards normality, with the numbers able to attend church and sporting and cultural events increasing.
Already, as of the 13th of June, as I mentioned, more people will be able to attend churches. Here, half the seats available will be able to be occupied. Also, sporting events and concerts at sports facilities will be able to go forward with a larger audience. Here too, beginning on the 26th of June, people will be able to occupy 50% of the available seats. Furthermore, at hotels and leisure facilities, this is also important in order to get our hotel and tourism industry moving again. For overnight stays, we are increasing the capacity to 75%. We're also opening up nightclubs so that this summer vacation time could allow for some fun. So here also the limit will be 150 people, and of course, people who have been vaccinated will not be included in this limit.
El Salvador has become the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender after Congress approved President Nayib Bukele's proposal to embrace the cryptocurrency. With 62 out of 84 possible votes, lawmakers voted in favour of the move on Tuesday to create a law to adopt Bitcoin, despite concern about the potential impact on El Salvador's finance programme with the International Monetary Fund.
Bukele has touted the use of Bitcoin for its potential to help Salvadorians living abroad to send remittances back home, while saying the US dollar will also continue as legal tender. The use of Bitcoin will be optional for individuals and would not bring risks to users, Bukele said, with the government guaranteeing convertibility to dollars at the time of the transaction through a trust created at the country's development bank, Bandesal.
Este es un paso importante para nuestro país.
This is an important step for our country, a step for technology, a step into the future to bring us financial inclusion, investment, tourism, innovation, and economic development to our country. And to respond to the way of thinking that this goes against the economic liberty of Salvadorians, I think this is part of the economic opening being promoted by the Salvadorian government. Under the law, Bitcoin must be accepted by firms when offered as payment for goods and services. Tax contributions may also be paid in the cryptocurrency. Its use as legal tender will begin in 90 days, with the Bitcoin-dollar exchange rate set by the market.
We want you to thrive here in our country. You will find the most hardworking people ever. You will find a renewed political system that works as a team in a single direction, which is taking El Salvador to the future its people deserve. Bitcoiners around the world, the time has come. We are ready. We did our part. Now the ball is on your side.
Cryptocurrency supporters hail the move as legitimising the emerging asset, but its impact on Bitcoin regulation, taxation or adoption in other countries remains to be seen. Analysts have also said the move could complicate talks with the IMF, where El Salvador seeks a programme of more than $1 billion. Some MPs are worried about what they see as a dangerous experiment.
Para unos audaz, para otros irresponsable.
For some this is bold, for others irresponsible, but it's a bet as well as an experiment. I regret how this has come to pass and what's behind it, and I hope, for the good of the country, to be proven wrong.
Por el bien de nuestro país, a estar equivocado.
Emerging economies, where bank penetration is much lower than in developed countries and reliance on money transfers from abroad is much higher, have quickly warmed to cryptocurrencies. El Salvador relies heavily on money sent back from workers abroad. World Bank data showed remittances to the country made up nearly $6 billion, or around a fifth of GDP in 2019, one of the highest ratios in the world.
French President Emmanuel Macron has called for a fair taxation of digital giants ahead of a meeting with the newly appointed chief of the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development in Paris. There is mounting political will in many European countries for introducing legal changes that would curb Silicon Valley's increasing power over the modern economy.
Macron's comments come after the G7, which includes France, agreed on Saturday to support a minimum corporation tax rate of at least 15% in talks underway at the OECD on rewriting the rules of cross-border taxation among 139 countries. Now, Macron is increasing the pressure on tax giants in particular. As we face an epidemic and an unprecedented economic crisis, It is not acceptable that multinational corporations are undertaxed, badly taxed, or taxed elsewhere than where they should be. The digitalization of our economies, the constant risk of unfair fiscal competition require us to redefine the international rules of the game on the subject, and the OECD promptly proposed a method. And so I wish to call for a swift and ambitious conclusion to these current negotiations, which will allow a fair taxation of digital companies, an equitable redistribution of tax receipts among states, and a sufficient minimum level of taxation. France expects to raise several billions of euros in extra revenue from the global minimum tax rate currently being negotiated internationally. Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has said. The newly appointed Secretary General of the OECD, Mateusz states post-COVID recovery must be the main priority in the coming months. Today, the world is facing a series of major challenges. First, we all have to work together to maximize the solidity of post-COVID-19 economic recovery with stronger growth, one that is more sustainable, more green and more inclusive. The immediate emergency is to pursue our efforts with regard to the fight against the virus and to do everything to make vaccinations accessible to the entire global population.
It's rare for a yellow card in a game of football in Poland's third division to make international news, but also it isn't every day that a pitch intruder comes onto the field with the help of a parachute. It later turned out that the parachutist had been forced to carry out an emergency landing after complications during his jump.
When the parachutist first began his flight, he did not expect it would end on a football pitch in the middle of the Polish third division game in Elbląg, Poland. The GoPro footage shows his flight until an unexpected turn of events meant the cameraman skydiver having to carry out an emergency landing. The skydiver told Reuters he had parachute failure, where the line twisted during the opening procedure and he was forced to open his reserve parachute. The ground was coming up too fast for him to reach the airport in time, where he and his co-parachutist land normally. Instead, he chose the stadium, which seemed the safest option. The match between Olimpia Elbląg and Pisa Primavera Barczewo in the Polish third division had to be halted briefly while the man gathered up his parachute and left the pitch. Fortunately, no one was hurt, although the parachutist received a yellow card from a witty referee.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.